Thank you for tuning in to HBC Student Ministries podcast. We are so glad you're listening today. Hope it inspires you to rep Jesus in your life.
Is everybody at Ephesians chapter 4? Awesome. If you're not, turn there. Ephesians 4, 31 and 32 is where we're going to start at tonight. But let me read this to you. And it's called Beware the Mule. Beware the Mule. Any of you like horses? You like riding horses? Yeah, I know Miss Tara loves them. Andrea's kind of a freak about it. Now I have all ears from Andrea. Good. Okay, here we go. It's kind of a funny little blog that this guy writes, but let me read it to you. Here we go, guys. It says, I've read that when a group of thoroughbred horses face attack from an outside enemy, they get together in a circle facing each other, and then they kick out at the attackers using their back legs or their hind legs. Donkeys, on the other hand, do just the opposite. They circle up facing the enemy, use their hind legs to kick each other. It says, good move, guys. Nothing scares an enemy away faster than when you start beating up on each other. Perhaps that's why the popular television show highlighting people with the IQ of dryer lint is named after donkeys. Some of you know what that is. You don't need to repeat it. Have you ever noticed that many Christians have lost their horse sense, we'll call it? We are always under attack from Satan and his demons, so naturally we should be circling up and kicking the enemy behind us. But this is not what I have seen. More often than not, believers turn into burros and start kicking each other around, even though they are facing attack. The kicks come in many forms, and they are as helpful to the devil as his own attacks. For example, some burro believers use legalism as a favorite kicking tool. They think that they are God's gift to the church or youth groups, so they self-righteously apply their idea of the Christian life to everyone else around them. They love to smack struggling believers with a holier-than-thou attitude and make them think that they are saved by grace and kept by works. I've seen other delivered donkeys who strike with the hoof of gossip. They love to hear the latest tidbits of information about others in the group, especially if it's negative. How many of you like to hear negative information? Just be honest. Do you ever like to just find out the dirty? You're lying. Come on. Thank you, Corey. Thank you. Okay. All right. And it says, especially if it's a negative, they smugly pass along a little tittle-tattle by way of a prayer request because they're concerned, okay? Sounds like a lot of hee-haw to me, he writes. This guy's a little crazy. All right, this is not me speaking. Ever been kicked by clicks? Anybody ever feel that way? A click's gotten you? Okay, some of you are honest 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, when we talked about this. Try to work your way into a well-established group of people who play favorites with each other. As long as they are happy, they are oblivious to the needs of and others, concerns of others. Sometimes I think Jesus himself would have a hard time fitting into some of these mule-like ministries that I've observed over the years. I've been kicked by bitterness before. It does not feel good. It was the person's responsibility to make things right and restore the unity between us, but instead, the individual chose to turn around and whoop me upside the head. Mules are very, very stubborn. It is extremely difficult to get them to change their ways. And I think God knew this, which is why he gave a certain command. So if you guys look with me, Ephesians 4, 31 and 32, and here's what it says. It says, let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. In other words, get along, little donkey. Turn your life around and stop kicking your own brothers and sisters. It breaks the heart of God to see us change from beautiful believers to malicious mules. It also brings Satan great happiness when he perceives us applying the donkey defense technique. It makes his job of destroying believers so much easier, especially when it's an inside job. I don't know if that kind of hits home a little bit. My guess is that you've been on the giving and receiving end of kicks in the end. Now it's time to change. It's your job to leave the pack and get back in the race with the thoroughbred horses. I think you will find that the Christian life works much better when you're working together. In fact, you may discover that it's quite a kick. Okay, he's kind of ha 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 with us, all right? So here's 3 questions, very, very important. I want you to write these down for me. If you have a pen, please pull it out. If you don't have one, we'll try to get you one or borrow someone next to you. But I want you to write these 3 questions down. I want you to really, truly evaluate these when I write them down, or have you write them down, okay? The first one that he asked in this little devotional, and some of you, I know you did this 2 weeks ago Wednesday. If you have it, great. Just stick with me, and we'll get to the rest of it here shortly. But the first one is your church or youth group more like a group of horses or like a group of donkeys? Okay? I know it's weird, but just write it down for me. Have it there. And put an answer. Just put an answer down. Okay? If you don't have anything in front of you, keep it in your head. What do you really think about the youth group? Or maybe you can apply it to a group at school or something else that you're part of, a sports team, whatever it is. But tonight I'm specifically talking about the youth group. Number 2, why do we give into Satan and kick our brothers and sisters around? Just give me some answers tonight, guys. Just write out loud. You did it 2 weeks ago Wednesday. But what are some reasons that we kick our brothers and sisters around in Christ? Logan. It's easier to blame someone else for your mistakes. Sweet. Okay. Past experiences. Thank you, Nicole. Josie. Bitterness. Great. That's right in the verses that we're talking about tonight. Tim. We're sinners, right? We're never going to be perfect. Anything else? What are some other reasons? Logan, another one. Yeah, like they get a kick out of it, right? Yeah, they get a kick out of it. Anybody else have anything? What are you thinking? Anger? Okay. Miss Gigi? Okay. Yeah, all good answers. True, very true. So the first one was, is your church or youth group more like a group of horses or donkeys? The second one was, why do we give in to Satan and kick our brothers and sisters around? And here's the third one. Here's the third one. What is the number one thing that you personally, not thinking about the person you're sitting next to or not thinking about TO, what I need to do, but what is the one thing that you need to change as a result of hearing this little devotional tonight? What is the one thing that you need to change? And guys, be honest with me. We're a family here tonight. We got a couple visitors. We thank you for being with us. But what are some things, honestly, that you and I, if we're to be honest with each other tonight, what are some things that we need to change about ourselves? Anybody willing to just say, hey, here's something I truly need to work on. I need to change about me. Logan? Okay. All right, stop putting your problems off on other people. What else do we have? Anybody else come up with something? John? Anger. Yeah, he brought that up 2 weeks ago, Wednesday night when we talked about it. Thanks, John, for saying that. Same thing, Colin. Make it right with your brother. Huge. Leslie. Being a leader, not a follower. Ooh, I'm going to get to that very shortly, and Leslie wasn't even here when I talked about it 2 weeks ago. Haley. Staying away from gossip. Man, huge. Bitterness and forgiveness. Okay, Josie. Okay. All right. Anybody else? You just want to be honest tonight, Mr. Keith? Put your pride aside and work together. Huge. Your attitude. All right. How many of us we get in a funk at times? And we're just being, as I call my girls sometimes, nasty pants. You're being a nasty pants today, okay? Just get over it. Put on your good pants and quit being a nasty pants, all right? Some of us were just nasty pants at times, all right? That's what I call little Ashley very often. She deserves that at times, and other times she's great. But guys, here's the thing. Here's the thing tonight. I need to do my job better, especially with you senior hires, because so many times I've talked to you about leadership and stepping up and being the ones that kind of take the realm of this youth group. And sometimes I forget to explain to you what exactly leadership means. It was funny this morning that Pastor Harris talked to us about leadership, and he talked about some of the very things I'm going to hit on tonight. But some of you will remember from 2 weeks ago, Wednesday night, but what is the very first and the biggest thing, the most important thing about leadership? True leadership is what? Anthony? Being a servant. Servanthood. Okay? True leadership is about being a servant. When you understand how to serve and to step back and take the pride out, right, like Mr. Keith said, and you just kind of be behind the scenes, but yet be the steady Eddie, the one that is true to what this book says. And that, let me give you some just prime examples. Like when you're at a hotel on Friday night and someone's about to do something really stupid, just really stupid, and you're the one that just says, guys, let's not. Sometimes you don't even need to say more than that. That's being a leader. That's being a leader. You don't need to step up and be like, dude, I am the leader of this youth group. Stop it. No. Sometimes you just need to be real and just be like, guys, let's just not. Let's not do that. Here's another way of leadership. Some of you juniors and seniors in here tonight, you know, one of the greatest ways that you can lead in this youth group is just to be present, to be faithful, and to be in God's Word. Man, those three things are huge to being a leader in this youth group. I know we had one of our college students speak not too long ago when he was home, and he talked about wanting to be a leader in this youth group. You know, it doesn't just take the juniors and seniors, the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th graders, you guys can do the very same thing. By acting that same way. It's just being mature. And here's one thing, because I talked to Pastor Larry about this. I said, hey, Pastor Larry, this is what some of the teens are saying. There's just some internal things with our youth group, and I don't believe that it's a huge thing, but I think we need to fix it. And he said, you know what you need to tell them, Tim? He said, you need to tell them that they're better than that. And I went, how does he know that? Because he knows what we teach you guys. He knows that this book is like the best leadership manual in the world. I don't know if you realize that. It's the best thing to guide and direct a person's life in this entire universe. The stuff that you hold in your hands, the stuff that you have on your iPod or your phone or whatever it is, your iPad, I can carry it with me just about every second of every day, and I can even lay down and go to bed with it and listen to it. That's how cool it is. It's there. It's always available if you want to be in it. But guys, you are above that. You are better than that. The things that you've been taught by your parents, the things that you've been taught by the leadership in this youth group, you know what? You have probably some of the best youth leaders, and I'm not bragging on myself. I'm bragging on a lot of your parents that are here tonight, youth leaders that have been doing this for 15, 20, 25 years, some of them a lot shorter than that. But you have some amazing youth leaders. If you don't realize that, man, I'll take you to some other churches. I don't want to show you bad, but I'll show you some that really aren't so good. I've seen them. And guys, you have some amazing, amazing leaders here at this church. And when you go into small groups here in about 20 minutes, I pray that you will listen to everything that they say. And sometimes it might just be conversation with you, but I believe that it's all leading towards something. Because we talk about it. We talk about it in our leaders' meetings, that we want to get to the deep things with you guys. And let me just kind of open things up here. I was on spring break, and I saw some of the stuff that was going on Facebook, and I'll just be honest with you, some of you were on it, some of you weren't. I chose not to respond for a particular reason, is because I wanted to talk to all of you face to face. And let me just tell you that about Facebook, is there's so many things that we can put on social media, but really the best way to deal with anything, and a lot of you brought up forgiveness tonight, is not to do it on a text or on Facebook or whatever it might be. Well, let's get together. Let's get face to face and let's talk about things. Because I've had things in the past that I've had to deal with that were really, really important that I dealt with over text, and I wish I hadn't. I wish I had brought that person into the office or church and talked with them, or if I went out, met them for lunch or whatever at McDonald's and just sat down and talked to them. And so I'm just being honest with you tonight, guys. If you're on Facebook and that negativity is getting to you, here's what I'm going to challenge you, just as I did the same group 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, is some of you probably in here tonight, you just need to buck up and say, you know what? I'm done with Facebook. I'm just going to get off it. I'm going to get off it for like forever. Or some of you, it might just be 6 months. Or some of you, you know, it might just be honestly because you may use it in a good way, and that's great. I am on it because I'm a youth pastor. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be on it much. But I love to use it for the HB student ministry stuff and tell you guys what's going on. So I use it for that reason. And if that's the reason, the only reason you use it, some of you I know, Tim mentioned to me before, like his soccer coach, that's how he gets all the information to them through school, is through their Facebook page. And that's great. But guys, can I challenge you tonight is to check out your Facebook. Go back, like even a year ago, and look at stuff that you commented on. You know what? Pastor Harris talked about this morning, character and who you truly are. I'll tell you what, you can learn a lot about me on Facebook, and I can learn a whole lot about you on Facebook. And some of it's good. Some of it, I'll be honest, Miss Tracy and I lay at home at nights and we go, man, and almost start to cry. I'm being serious with you guys. Some of the stuff I look on there, I'm just like, man, is that really that kid's heart? Is that really what they think about? Is that really the stuff that they look at? You know, there's stuff that we can tag on Facebook, and some of it's hilarious. The pictures that you can go on there and that you can tag to different things. But so many times, I don't know if you guys even realize, sometimes the headings that are above those pictures, when you tag it, a lot of them have curse words right in it. The B word, the S word, and I'm not talking about the S word stupid like my girls think is really bad. I'm talking about the really bad one. Okay? You know what I'm talking about? And I look at that stuff and I'm like, man, guys, you know, you're a representation not of just Heritage Baptist Church or your parents. Let me just pick on some family, the Price family, the McCumber family, or the Bont family, or we can just keep going. But man, greater yet, you're a representation of Jesus Christ. If you go around at school and you say that, hey, would you love to come to our church? And then people see the next day the stuff that you put on Facebook. Man, guys, I'm just challenging you. Please don't think I'm yelling at you. I'm just being your youth pastor tonight. I'm speaking to you from God's Word. And what it says is, here's a plain and simple verse you can always remember. Jesus says in his word, a particular passage, it says, "Be ye holy." Why? Because I am holy. Be ye holy as I am holy. Wow, that's what I want to strive for. And guys, you know what? I am not perfect. I'm sitting up here talking tonight, and there's a lot of stuff I need to work on. Probably saying, T.O., I saw you on Facebook yesterday. Yeah, you did. You're right. But I try to be careful about what I put on there. And I'm asking you guys to do the very same thing about it, is to be above reproach. Be an awesome example of Jesus Christ. And here, let me go a little bit deeper on this whole thing of unity. And I asked our group 2 weeks ago, Wednesday again, but I want to ask it again. I want to kind of create some discussion. But is there a difference between friendship groups and cliques? What would you guys say? Yes? No? Yeah? Can we all agree? Are y'all a yes or a no? Yes. Okay, there is a difference between friendship groups and cliques. Somebody tell me what's the difference. What's some differences on those two things? Nicole?
Cliques are close. They don't make new friends. It's just one group, and then a group of friends like meet new people and invite other people.
Big point. That's a huge aspect of a clique. All right, what else do we have?
The way they act to each other. People in a clique they're really nice to each other, but everyone else is sort of like shut out and they're just really rude.
Okay.
Friend groups, they're like more accepting and they're a lot friendlier.
Exactly. Very good point. Josie?
Friend groups don't care what you wear, and cliques you see them wearing the same thing.
Yeah, you've been watching Mean Girls, haven't you? John?
It's not really about that, but I went to a college Thursday. One of the guys there, he's a big Christian. He has a lot of different sayings, but one of them is, when you meet somebody, meet them as, every stranger is a friend you've never met.
That's cool. Every stranger is a friend you've never met. That's good. That's good. What else do we have? What are some differences between friendship groups and cliques? Anything else? Yeah, I think you guys hit on it pretty good. Let me kind of give you some examples. Same thing I kind of shared with the group that Tuesday night. Now listen, there's a lot of leaders in here tonight. Leaders, raise your hand for me tonight. All of our leaders. Okay. All right, let me give you an example. Mr. Carley's not here. I picked on him last time because of the unique situation. with Mr. Young, okay? A lot of times Mr. Carley is over at Mr. Young's house, and they're usually working on Mr. Carley's broken vehicles. I don't know why he has a lot of broken vehicles, but he usually does, okay? So they're over there, and a lot of times they're working on Mr. Carley's vehicles together, and they hang out a lot. They're pretty good buddies. Mr. Young, you'd probably say you guys are kind of accountability partners, or you are. They meet quite often. They hang out a lot. Now, that's a great friendship group. Now, let's say I go over to Mr. Young's house, and they're working on Mr. Carley's vehicle, and I bring mine over there. And I say, hey, Mr. Young, Ashley just whacked the Blazer with her bike, and I need you to fix this big dent in the front end of my Blazer, which I do have a dent in the front of my Blazer. I'll talk to you later about that. But it was from my mailbox. But anyways, I slid into it, and I was supposedly going too fast, my wife says. Anyways, but if Mr. Carley and Mr. Young looked at me and they said, Tio, you get out of here. Get out of my yard. This is us two. We're just hanging out. Just get out. Take your car. Come back later. Okay? All right? Now that is not something that's ever going to happen. You're all laughing because Mr. Young's never going to do that to me. Mr. Carley might, but Mr. Young's not going to do that to me. All right? Listen. A clique is just like that. A clique is many times that way where it's not accepting of new people. There's something wrong with that. There's an issue there where they're like, you know what, it's just us four and no more, okay, or whatever it is. And they don't want to let anyone else in. But here's another example of some of us leaders. Like, for instance, some of us, if I can say it this way, some of us younger leaders in here, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. Like, for instance, many times Coopers, Theekers, and the Obers will hang out. A lot of times we have pizza together at someone's house, or we play games together. We do stuff. We've done lots of things. We have boats. We've gone out on boats before. And many times it'll just be the six of us hanging out. But you know what? That doesn't mean that if Mr. Young and Miss Audra one day say, hey, could we come and hang out with you guys at the lake, that we're going to blow them off and say, no, well, we don't really want you. Nope. Mm-mm. Unless Miss Audra can bring cookies, and we're good. You know, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. And guys, here's the thing. It really comes down to, and if I can say it this way without feeling like I'm picking on you guys because of the word I'm going to use and that you're younger and I'm older, but really, it's truly a maturity level is really what it comes down to. And when Pastor Larry told me to tell you guys that you're better than that, I believe it. I believe that there is very much of a maturity level in this youth group. I think it exists and that it's very much present, but I think that we just need to learn how to tap into it a little bit better, okay? Here's another example. Lewis and I, we're small group leaders together, right? Lewis comes over and he works at my house, works out at my house. Well, he hasn't been there a long time because of volleyball, so tease him about getting a little chubby tonight, okay? But many times we work out together and we get together. But that doesn't mean that if Mr. Dave says to me, Mr. Amy says, hey, I really want to start coming over and, bike trip's coming up pretty soon. I'm going to say, yeah, come on over. Tuesday night, 7 to 8 o'clock. We'll hang out together. We'll work out. We'll get it done. We'll get ready for the bike trip. We'll lose 20 pounds. We'll get on those bikes. We'll be good to go. Okay? All right? And many of you have the opportunity to do the very same thing. When we come together on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights, and especially youth group events and activities, man, go up to each other and just invite each other into those friendship groups. Because I pray and I hope that there's no cliques in our youth group. If there is, those need to stop right now. But I think really what it comes down to is that some of our friendship groups need to just work on a little bit harder. Because it's no joke that Lewis and I are about the same age. We lead a small group together. We like to do many of the same things together, so naturally we're probably going to hang out more. We're going to do things together. The same thing, I go back to Mr. Carley and Mr. Young. Kind of same age group, kind of same phase in life with their children and where they're at. and the things that they've went through in life, and so they can relate a lot better. But again, it goes back to that I have never felt alienated. Let me tell you this quick story is when it comes to bike trip. When I came on as your youth pastor, my very first day was bike trip. I'm like, oh my goodness, how is this going to go? All right? And I knew that Mr. Manning and Mr. Amy and Mr. Carley and Mr. Young, they were all pretty tight, and they knew the workings of this bike trip and how it all goes down and the way that it runs and how it's just like organized chaos. I love that little saying about the bike trip because that's exactly what it is. And I kind of worried. I'm like, how is this going to work? Am I really going to kind of get into this inner core of these guys that kind of make this bike trip happen? Because I've always thought it's a cool thing that we can transport 40, 50 people throughout half the United States on bikes and just the whole thing. It's just cool. It's awesome. And you know what? The first day I get on the trip, I got leaders telling me to take pills and get ready to get on the bike because, you're going to bike one of these days this week. So here's some potassium and here's some bananas, start eating, okay? That's what some of the leaders were doing. And then I had, Mr. Amy coming to me, and he's like, this is the most important thing you need to do this week. These are the men's and the women's bathroom signs. Make sure they get on the doors, okay? Because my job was the luggage job. That was my job for the whole week was hauling luggage. Mr. Keith knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because at night, the men's bathrooms don't always stay the men's bathrooms, and the girls' bathrooms don't always stay the girl bathrooms. So we have to put these signs up depending on where people are sleeping in the church. And that was my job. But then they also came to me. Mr. Manny came to me. He's like, hey, this is my bike. Get on it. Start riding it. Make sure it's your right height because you're going to be riding in a couple days. So they're bringing me in. Mr. Young, he let me use his bike one of the days. You remember that at Cookie Break? Yeah, I got clip shoes on. I probably fell and hurt myself several times at stoplights because I didn't know how to work them. And they began to work with me. I had other leaders coming next to me. Mr. Carley showing me how to fix a pop tire or doing whatever it was, showing me how the jobs work and from church to church and figuring out how to get in there and talk to the different people to get the job done. And I felt instantly connected. I felt like, man, I am feeling good as youth pastor at Heritage. It was a cool thing. And I thank you guys for doing that. But you students can do the very same thing when you see a new student. I'm not going to pick on Nicole's friend, but Nicole's friend, she needs to feel welcome tonight. Emma, thank you. I knew that, but I wasn't going to say her name to pick on her, but now that you said that, thank you. Okay, so Emma, let's just all say, Emma, thanks for being here tonight. All right? But we need to come along each other and encourage and just love on new people in our church. Or the ones that have maybe been here for 5 or 6 months and the newness is kind of wore off. You all know what I'm talking about? Do you all know what I'm talking about when you're the new person in something and like you're the, what's the word for that? You're like the sliced cheese or the, you're what? You're the newbie? Yeah, but what's the name of like you're the cool kid on the block? Never mind, I'm old. Okay. Anyways, you are the coolest thing in the group because you're the new person. Then what happens after 5 or 6 months? There's another new person. Right? And you just become kind of old news. The Swiss cheese. Don't ever let that happen here, guys. And ladies, continue to love on people as much as, like John said about that kid that he met at college. Like, you've known them like they're your friend forever, even though you may have just met them for the first time. So guys, I'm challenging you to work on this issue. And why I believe in it so much is it's one of the greatest things that Jesus asked of his Father when he prayed about the specific thing to his Father about his disciples. Is he said, Jesus, I pray that you would make them one as we are one, because if they are one, others will know that they love who? Me or Jesus. Exactly. If you show love one to another, that is when the outside world goes, hey, there's something different about that Sammy. There's something different about Leslie. And let me read something to you. Nicole showed me this, and I just want to read it to you real quick. It was in a book that she was reading. From the author, it says, as far as I can tell from my study of the Bible, the church is the people of God. The church is you, me, our brothers and sisters all over the world. We are a body connected through faith in the Savior. We are to love each other, serve each other, rejoice in good times, and shed tears together in the hard times. There is no room for beating up on the bride of Christ. Wow, that really hits home. And I'm going to encourage you guys to do that. Don't go out of here tonight going, that was good what T.O. said. Act on it. Some of you tonight need to say, hey, John, let's go over to Bloop tonight. We need to have just a conversation. You don't know where Bloop is? It's right over here. It's a yogurt ice cream place, and I would love to go with any of you there at any time. Okay? Listen, let me tell you this. I'm going to close, and we're going to go to small groups. Because I love this analogy. Thank you, Nicole. Yep. I love this analogy. The difference between girls and guys, it's a little different. Specifically, if John and I get into a big fight, we're probably just going to punch each other, and then 5 seconds later, we're going to be best friends, right? That's kind of how guys work. Girls, it's a little bit different. It's a lot different. From what I've heard, I'm not a girl, but from what I've heard, it's a lot different. And let me give you a specific thing. It's a little bit different than friendship, but it's kind of a funny story. Not too long ago, well, actually a couple summers ago, Mr. Cooper started this teasing T.O. about gaining weight thing, okay? So he's been teasing me. So I'm at the Byron Days Parade, and I'm texting him. I'm like, hey, where are you? Because he just run the 5K, and I'm looking for him, and he's looking for me. He's like, I can't find you. Where are you? And I said, I'm walking with my father-in-law on the parade. And I'm like, I'm coming around the corner, and then all of a sudden I get this text, and he goes, oh, never mind, I found the blimp. He's talking about me. And I said, real funny, ha, ha, ha. So then a couple months ago, we're in church, and I'm standing next to him and Mrs. Cooper. And I said, hey, how you doing there? I said, when's the baby due? And I'm patting his stomach. And he just looks at me. He's like, I'm going to kill you. And not too much longer, I believe it was Miss Tara and my wife, they got talking, and they're like, can you believe what those guys say to each other? Like, if you said that to me, I'd be devastated. And I was like, you guys can actually get pregnant, so what's the problem? You know, whatever. And I'm like, okay, what is, Aaron and I, we just know that we're joking, right? Okay? We don't take it too seriously, all right? I know I need to lose 20 pounds before I go on a bike trip, okay? I've been eating too many Little Debbies. I can do it. I'll lose weight. I've been drinking a lot of water lately and not eating too much pizza. I'll be okay in about 2 months. That's just the way it is. Mr. Cooper knows he's not fat. He just has a little pudge, and I'm just picking on him, okay? That's all. But sometimes even us guys, we take life too seriously, right? Yes, we do. We take life too seriously. Sometimes we just need to let things be things, stupid things, just let them go, move on. But sometimes those little things, whether you believe it or not, might be a really big thing to someone else, and you do need to go to them and say, hey, you know, please forgive me for saying that. So if I need to apologize to Coop, let me know wherever he's at. I thought he was here tonight. I will do that, but I think he's okay. But some of you tonight, here's the thing. Guys, forgiveness might be a really, really big issue. That might be the biggest thing that's holding you back from having a great relationship, a great friendship with someone in this room tonight. And so I would challenge you before you leave tonight, if you have to say right in like 2 seconds to your youth leader, your small group leader, hey, I got to fix something with somebody right quick, and then I'll be in the small group. Or afterwards, you do go over to Bloop, and you sit down with someone at a booth face to face, and you talk with them, and you say, hey, you know what? I've been a real, what was the word I used about Ashley? Stinker pants. I've been a real stinker nasty pants lately, and I want you to forgive me. You know, whatever it is, guys, take it seriously. Get the issue. If there's an issue, get it out there and fix it.
Once again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in. For more information on HBC Student Ministries, visit hbcstudent.org.